Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 7. So we're getting through Season 7 of The Flash, not in a flash, but at a decent rate. It does feel like it was only yesterday, in which we were like a month or two away from episode 1 coming out, and now at the time of this video coming out, we're only like a couple of days away from episode 3 airing, which of course will be what the season 6 finale was supposed to be. So once that is over, the proper or real season 7, if you want to call it, will begin, of course starting with episode 4. Now episode 4 we know will feature Abracadabra's return, which in itself will be interesting, as you would have to think that the events we saw take place with him back in season 3 either did not happen or happened in different ways due to the fact Earth Prime didn't branch out to the multiverse, and Gypsy the bounty hunter was from another Earth and took Abracadabra away, potentially to be executed. So that'll be interesting just to see what happened there, if there are actually any changes. But the thing is well, is episode 4 actually starting the new storyline for the season, or is it just like a bridging episode between the proper end of season 6 and the proper start of season 7? It is hard to tell, but it does seem that episode 5 will be the proper start, I guess, of the main portion of what season 7 will be for the first half, or at least introducing elements of it, and that will be the focus for this video. So yeah, if you don't want to know anything about episode 5, feel free to click off the video. Just thought I'd give you those, or give those that might want to know, the chance to click off. But yeah, they released a synopsis for episode 5, which is otherwise entitled Fear Me. So we will read over that synopsis or description, then break it down and explains what's going on, because there are some semi-deep dives from the comics. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to know your various opinions in the comments section down below. General thoughts, theories, anything like that. I'm always curious to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to this in Season 7 of The Flash, why not drop a like on it to show support and excitement. Psyche attacks Central City. When a powerful new villain, Psyche, channels and amplifies everyone's fears in order to wreak havoc on Central City, Barry realizes, with Cecile's help, that he must face his own worst fear in order to beat this new threat. Meanwhile, Joe is surprised when Kristen Kramer from the Governor's Municipal Logistics Commission drops into CCPD for a visit. Iris warns her father to dig deeper on why Kristen is actually there. Caitlin and Frost argue about how to live their lives. So yeah, that was one hell of a mouthful. That was one of the longest synopsises that we have gone over for an episode, outside of a premiere episode at least, in a while. It's very long, but of course, let's break it down. And that starts with, when a powerful new villain, Psyche, channels and amplifies everyone's fears in order to wreak havoc on Central City. Now, Psyche as a character is someone who we thought was going to appear this season after some set photos. However, his look on the show, at least when we focus on the main piece of clothing or what he's wearing, is very different from the comics. And it was really the only thing we saw for a while from set until recently, and that was his mask. And I think that I was the first person, I think, at least anyone from that does content on social media like YouTube, Instagram, or anything like that, that connected to a little piece of insignia on his mask that this was Psyche from the comics. And that was this little piece here, which is the symbol of the Sage Force from the comics. It's not even that big. Like on the character in the comics, it's pretty big on his chest. Here it's like a small bit on his mask. But the Sage Force is what Psyche is connected to and gets his powers from. Now, in regards to his powers, I am very curious to see how they are represented on the show, and whether he just amplifies people's biggest fears or just whatever they fear. For me, my biggest fear in regards to an actual thing that could appear in front of me and be like, oh, I'm scared, it's probably a spider. Like, I just don't trust them. I just look at them like, I just don't trust you. I really don't trust you. Let me know what your biggest fear is in the comment section down below, because I'm always curious to hear what people are scared of. Like, what would Psyche make appear in front of you if he came across you? But anyway, I'm hoping that visually when he makes people face their fears, it looks sort of cool. Maybe like purple energy or something like that. He has sort of like a purple thing going on. So maybe that's what happens when he does stuff. So yeah. So I could see that happening, but Psyche will be in more than just this episode. Without spoiling too much, expect him for more than just a few episodes. But next up in the synopsis we have, Barry realizes, with Cecile's help, that he must face his own worst fear in order to beat this new threat. So this will be a very interesting part of not only this episode, but potentially some episodes to follow as well, with other appearances of Psyche. And it probably comes back to whether when Psyche affects you, do you only see your greatest fear or a few of your worst fears? I know the synopsis says worst fear, but if he, affects you multiple times, you could see multiple fears. And what would Barry's be? You would have to say Iris dying, his friends and family dying, but maybe also some of his past villains. Like, I'm sure Reverse Flash or Zoom appearing in front of him would be up there and potentially require Barry needing a change of clothing, specifically underwear. That could provide some cool little parts in the episode if they do that direction or go down that direction with multiple fears rather than just the one. But with Cecile, we do know her powers are evolving thanks to episode 1, so she could play a part in maybe dumbing down Psyche's effects on people, or at the very least assisting with what he does to people. I don't think it's too surprising that we saw the start of change in like Cecile's abilities, and then we see this mental and psychic based threat or villain make their way into town. And that's not saying that she is the key or anything like that, but it just won't be too big of a shock, especially based off what this synopsis sets up as well, that Cecile plays a good sized part in the storyline. But it needs to be noted that Psyche is, I think, going to be similar to what is in the comics, where he is bad and good. So he's sort of like his weird crisscross villain or just character. So he does villainous things, but in the end, he's doing some good things as well. And I think we'll see that in the show as well. But next up in the synopsis we have, meanwhile, Joe is surprised when Kristen Kramer from the Governor's Municipal Logistics Commission drops into CCPD for a visit. Now, this is pretty interesting as Kristen Kramer is a character from the comics. She's not just some random character they've made up. But they seem to be changing up where she lies, I guess, at the moment within the DC universe, though it could potentially tie to a moment from the comics and maybe even her past. So in the comics, Kristen is an intern at CCPD before eventually becoming a fully fledged CSI later on. And she does go on to work at Iron Heights. So she'd be mixing in with like the metahuman villains within the comics. Now, her main appearances are in the DC Rebirth story of The Flash, which is where like the Iron Heights stuff happens, though she appeared first around 10 years ago or so, just before the New 52 started. But one big moment in Kristen's story is that her parents were killed in a car crash, with her sister taking her life shortly after the incident due to the trauma caused by it all. Now, with the next part of the synopsis saying like Iris warns her father to dig deeper on why Kristen is actually there, this could suggest that CCPD could be attached to Kristen's past, and maybe what she is doing here is more personal rather than professional, or maybe her past is connected to Iron Heights. Maybe she worked at Iron Heights similar to what she did in the comics, and maybe she had to deal with stuff in Iron Heights that was CCPD's fault, maybe not dealing with metahumans in the correct way or something like that. Now, in regards to metahumans, there has been stuff from SED that does suggest that Kristen, or what Kristen is doing here, is attached to metahumans and their effect on the general public. So we could connect all together and say that Kristen is maybe like investigating and maybe looking to hold accountable the CCPD's methods on their handling of metahumans or lack of handling of metahumans potentially. This could potentially be a very interesting storyline. This could also maybe tie into that storyline that Joe will have this season that has been teased for a while, or at least maybe lead into it or something like that. But while also being a Joe storyline, this could also be Iris-centric as well. Maybe an investigation for Iris herself, looking into Kristen while Kristen's looking into the CCPD. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle Iris outside of when, once we get past the Mirrorverse thing and we get back to like normal world, if that makes sense. Because she's got to keep doing the journalism stuff. So let's see what they do there. But finally, in the synopsis we have, Caitlin and Frost argue about how to live their lives. Now, I'm not exactly sure where all this could lead. Maybe it's about whether she has to like be a hero or try and live, a life as normal as both, Caitlin and Frost can, so they can. Not too sure exactly. However, I think it was Eric Wallace. I don't think it was Daniel Panabaker who plays Caitlin. I think it was Eric Wallace said in an interview that there is some cool stuff coming from with Caitlin and Frost this season. Pun potentially intended there. So maybe this is attached to that. We'll have to wait and see. They've got a decent amount of characters to handle this season, and I'm sure they're going to have to try and maybe develop Chester and Allegra a good amount. So it will be interesting to see how they handle both Cisco and Caitlin, seeing that we've spent 6 going on 7 seasons with them. So if they can continue to do some interesting stuff, then that's, credit to them. But yeah, to finish off, episode 5 is the last episode where we actually have a title. We don't have episode 6, 7, and beyond. So I don't know if they go on like a week or 2 break after this one. Some shows have gone on a break after 5 episodes. Not too sure whether The Flash will. They have a good amount of episodes to get through, and it's not like they've got a lot of time. So I don't know if they'd be rushing to make a break or take a break unless they have to because of post-production with the episodes. But I think they're ahead enough where they wouldn't have to take a break, but that's for us to wait and find out. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it. It shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this, thoughts, theories. Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.